Welcome to Student Research Week on Across the Fence. Ready to be amazed by the contributions young people are making to innovation and discovery here at UVM? We're kicking off here in Marsh Hall with one undergraduate pondering the question, how detrimental is the combination of binge drinking and an unhealthy diet? Let's go find out.
Hello, Vermont. Last year, UVM joined the ranks of the nation's top-tier research institutions by achieving R1 status. But even before earning that distinction, each spring the university celebrated Research Week with a slate of talks, presentations, and special events, including the Student Research Conference. Open to any UVM undergrad, graduate, or medical student, the conference showcases their research through posters and presentations. Ready to meet one of the wonderkins sharing their work this year? Joining me is Jake Grenon. Jake is a senior majoring in neuroscience and minoring in both chemistry and nutrition and food science, who's been working in the lab of Dr. Chris Skinner for the last 3 years. Full disclosure, he's also one of my former and favorite students, and I am thrilled to welcome him on the show. Jake,
thanks, Amy.
It's very nice to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's exciting to be here.
Okay. Tell us about your work. What have you been studying?
Right. So we've been looking into Western diet and binge drinking and the combination of the two on the mouse brain. There's a lot of research into just the Western diet on the brain and alcohol on the brain, specifically chronic alcohol exposure, not binge drinking.
Okay.
But the combination of the two, which is commonly seen amongst my age group.
Good inspiration.
Yeah.
Yes, study what you know.
Yeah, there's not a lot of research into that, so we sought to investigate that gap. And oftentimes nutrition is presumed to be common sense, but there's still a lot of aspects of feeding and drinking behavior that aren't well established. So,
you said Western diet. Do you want to define for folks what we mean when we say a Western
right,
diet?
yeah. So Western diet is a diet that's spread across the world right now due to the increasing availability of cheap and processed foods. It's a diet high in saturated fat, high in omega-6 fatty acids, low in omega-3 fatty acids, high in simple sugars, and low in fiber.
And it's not particularly good for us.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Now, it's something that I know is a little different. I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about getting into Dr. Skinner's lab, but one of the things about Dr. Skinner's lab, too, is this Western diet, the mice, et cetera, that you're working with for your research. This was something an innovation of the lab, right? To be able to design a diet for the mice?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So Dr. Skinner, along with some colleagues, designed a specific translatable Western diet that mirrors the macronutrient distribution of...
Because we can't give them macaroni and cheese and ramen.
No. They get like these pellets. And so, yeah, it's this specifically formulated, we know the certain breakdown of like fats, proteins, carbohydrates, that sort of thing. And yeah, we just give it to them in pellet form.
How did you end up in Dr. Skinner's lab?
Right, so I was taking his Intro to Nutrition class my sophomore year. I've always been really interested in neuroscience and nutrition, and so I was taking his class, and he mentioned, he was a fairly new professor at the time. And
I think it was his first year.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and he was mentioning like the research he was going to start in his lab and about Western diet and binge drinking. I was like, wow, that is exactly like my interest. That seems really cool.
Were you already an NFS minor at the time?
Yes.
Okay,
I think
so you came in knowing that you were also in neuroscience, but also you were interested in nutrition.
Right,
okay.
Yeah. And so he mentioned he was looking for undergrads to help him out, and we got to talking, and he mentioned he didn't have any plans for the brains. And yeah, knowing that I was a neuroscience major, we got to talking, and we kind of came up with a plan of things that we could look at.
His lab mostly looks at?
The liver.
The liver.
Right,
okay.
Yeah, that's kind of his bread and butter is the liver. But we look at all the organs. I mean, we have the whole mouse, obviously, and so we look at the kidney, the heart, the brain, obviously, and then the liver. Yep.
Yeah. Why did you want to do research?
I think it's a great way to apply like what I'm learning in like my basic science courses that I've taken for 4 years now into a real world problem. You learn so much in lab. It's like another class. It's more than a class, like time commitment wise.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's just a great learning experience. And then also it's such a relevant topic to I guess, like
Well,
health right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, and you made it relevant too by
Right.
tailoring it to your own interests. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was curious about lab life, so I asked Jake if I could come hang out and watch him work one afternoon and learn a little bit more about what it's like to tackle research as an undergrad. Let's take a look.
Usually I'm here 3 to 4 days a week, but I'm not always doing experiments. It's a lot of preparation beforehand, reading. We have the mice undergo a 12-week treatment, and then we have to process the tissue samples, and then we have to set up our experiment as far as homogenizing the tissue, and then running the actual assays. Take my pipette tip. My pipette is to 100. Take 100 microliters of my sample and load it into the cassette. It's a lot of pipetting.
Make this N of 9. N of 9.
Your hands get tired, your thumbs get tired sometimes. Then you have to do the actual experiment, and then you have to analyze your data, and then you have to write about it, and so you can actually talk about your findings to people. So there's a lot that goes into it besides just the actual lab work. If you have all these experiments that you want to do and all these samples, that just multiplies it out by a large factor. But yeah, it gets done. I'm a pretty type A person, and so when experiments don't go to plan, which they did quite often in the beginning, whether I read something wrong or I made a pipetting error or just something super simple, it was difficult because, like I talked about, a lot of time goes into these experiments, and so then when you mess up, you don't get data, you lose tissue samples. We only have so many. I mean, you can't, the mouse is gone. You can't just, it takes a while to grow the mouse, So it's a lost opportunity, and so that's difficult, but Dr. Skinner, my advisor, has been really helpful with letting me know that, failures are going to happen, and we kind of just move forward, and I learn from it every single time, making less and less failures now.
Lots and lots of pipetting.
Yeah, definitely.
And your thumb's hurting. I hadn't really thought about.
You get cramps almost, yeah.
You get cramps, okay. Well, okay, so you're going to be presenting a poster at Research Week, and then you're also headed to Minneapolis for the American Physiology Summit at the end of the month. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does sharing your work make all the time spent waiting on results worth it?
Yeah, I mean, we do it for the results. It's kind of hard in the moment sometimes to see what the end goal is, you're actually going to get some results out of it, but we do it so we can share the results, obviously, and it's fun sharing it with students and with other scientists, and then with the general public like we're doing today. But it's cool sharing it at the conferences because a lot of the times you get ideas from other scientists that are like, maybe this is why this is happening, or an explanation for something, and then you kind of incorporate that into...
Yeah, you break outside of the walls of the laboratory, and now you can hear
other ideas.
Other ideas, exactly. Okay, so what have you found?
Yeah,
how bad is it?
Yeah, no,
Poor diet.
Yeah, we found a lot of things. To start, I think the big point is that in our experiment, binge drinking didn't have any additive effects when in the presence of a Western diet, meaning the mice that were consuming a Western diet, that did most of the harm, whereas binge drinking didn't necessarily add anything.
It's both sad and comforting.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing. It's not that binge drinking is harmless.
Right.
It isn't. But in our experiment, over 12 weeks, we didn't see any additive detriment to the brain.
Okay.
And
so the Western diet, the poor diet, is doing the bulk of the injury.
Right. In our experiment, yes.
In your experiment.
Right.
Okay. All right. And what's been your favorite thing about working in the lab?
Probably the people. I mean, Dr. Skinner's created a really good community, great community. We have 2 amazing PhD students in the lab, Asan and Karina, who I've learned a ton from, along with Dr. Skinner. And so it's fun going in a lab every day, seeing them, all the other undergrads, and then just
And you're the only person working on the brain.
Right, yes.
Everybody else is working on the liver.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've had a little help from my Colby Filosa, has helped me. But besides that, yeah, mostly just me.
It's a lot of hours. I mean, we saw it in the video. You said you're there 3 to 4 days a week?
Yeah, 3 to 4. It depends on what we're doing at the time, but yeah, 3 to 4 days a week, a few hours a day. It's definitely definitely a big added commitment with.
How do you balance that?
I mean, it's a lot of planning for sure, and a lot of students really want to get into research, and you got to look at your courses and make sure you have these big chunks of time for experiments, because a lot of them take hours, and it's not like you can just leave. And so a lot of planning my course schedule around having these big chunks of time so I can go into lab and get my work done.
Is it competitive to get chosen to be in a lab?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of it is really down to luck. I was kind of like right place, right time with Dr. Skinner. And if there's space open, I got lucky in the sense that Dr. Skinner was starting his lab right when I was kind of looking for a research opportunity. And so yeah, I just got lucky there, and I was also really passionate about the project. And you know, professors can, like, if they want to recruit students who are really interested in their work, obviously. And so I think he saw that for sure.
What comes next for you?
So I have to defend this project as a senior thesis in 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that, getting done with that, and then graduating in May. And then I'll take some time off and starting medical school summer of 2027.
That is absolutely fantastic. I remember conversations with you in the kitchen about medical school and your plans to become a doctor. Do you know what you want to practice, specialize in?
Not particularly. I'm really interested in a lot of things, family medicine, cardiology, kind of all stuff that this research can be related to. But I have a lot of time to decide, and I'm really, really excited to get going.
And I guess actually the most important question to me is, are you still cooking?
I'm definitely still cooking, rarely eat out. Yeah, cooking like almost pretty much 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, cooking with friends, family.
That's so wonderful. Well, I have to say, Jake, it has been wonderful to have you here. It was a delight to have you in class, and being able to hear how you have thrived in the years since, and watching you do this research and be getting ready to graduate into the next phase of your life. It's a real pleasure and an honor.
Thanks, Amy.
It's lovely to have you here. And as always, Vermont, thank you for learning and exploring with me today. And thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.